This is Anne Osborne, and I'm from England originally, but currently living on the Sunshine Coast in Australia.
Beautiful. If you could first actually describe how you came to adhere to a fruit-based diet.
Well, it started like when I was 20 and I was at university, and purely for ethical reasons I decided to become a vegan because I was no longer comfortable with certain practices going on in the dairy industry. So no idea of health, thought I was pretty averagely healthy 20-year-old, but like immediately that I gave up dairy products, immediately I noticed a real improvement in my health, which I wasn't expecting at all. I was at university at the time, and my student digs were at the bottom of the hill, the university was at the top of the hill, so every day I'd have to walk up the hill to university, and every day as I was near the top of the hill I'd be wheezing out of breath. Just thought, oh yeah, this is just how it is. But it was like the day after, and this is why I knew what it was the day after I stopped dairy products. I wasn't wheezing, I was at the top of the hill, and it was like, something's different. Oh yeah, I'm not wheezing. So that kind of got me on the path to realising that there is a connection between what you put in your body and how you feel. So I started to try different types of vegan diet, and I tried a macrobiotic vegan diet, and I tried an Wigmore, lots of sprouts and wheatgrass type of vegan diet, and I tried just a whole food cooked vegan diet, and felt good on all of them, but not that good. I'm not that enthusiastic about any of them that I stuck at any one of them for more than a couple of years. And then when I was 24, I was back in my hometown of Leicester in England, and I was part of a local animal rights group, and we had regular meetings. And at one of our meetings we invited a guy called David Shelley to give a talk, and he was a fruitarian. And he was just such a great advert for the diet. He was tanned and healthy and fit, and he rode everywhere on his bike, and he was just, obviously whatever he was doing was really working for him, and we thought, you know, we want some of this. So a whole group of us, about sort of 5 or 6 of us, we were all vegans, and we all sort of like went onto a fruitarian diet. And I did a transition because I was pregnant at the time with my older boy, and that was it really. You know, I've stuck with the diet, and it's stuck with me ever since, and it's because it's worked, you know, and it's made sense. It's the diet that's made sense on so many levels, like the ethical level, the environmental level, the health level. It's simple, and yet it makes sense, and it just seems to be the most symbiotic diet. You know, we get the fruit and we spread the seeds, and perfectly ripe fruit that is designed for humans is the only food that really contains no toxins. All other foods, to some extent, contain toxins, so it just makes sense on all those levels.
And is it something that you have to be very strict with yourself, or is it done out of preference at this point?
At this point it's preference, because at this point, after you've been on fruit for a long while, you get to know what's good fruit, what you like, and it's a priority, and you need to pick good fruit, perfectly ripe fruit, you know, organic or non-sprayed if possible. And honestly, there's not one piece of cooked food or one type of cooked food I've ever had that could compare with a really good mango or a really good Charente melon or a really good durian. There's nothing, you know. And fruits, like, it depends what mood you're in. If you want something really light and juicy, there's melon. If you want something creamy, there's durian, you know, there's custard apples. If you want something a bit more fatty, there's avocado. So for all those kind of different types of food, there's something better, but it's a fruit. So no, it's my food now, and I don't see other food as my food. It's like fruit's what I eat and what I want to eat, and I think you've got to want to eat it. It can't be something that you're in denial that, I think this is good for me, but I really want to go and have this or that. I think when you do it long term, it becomes your food, and it becomes the food that you really enjoy, and that's the food that's your optimal food, not just for the way it makes you feel, but the optimal food that you want to choose. That's your optimal food choice.
And has your health improved or declined since, how long have you been doing it?
About 21 years. Well, it's definitely improved. And I feel as good now as I did when I started. I think that's something that people think as they get older, that they're automatically going to have aches and pains, and things are going to start going wrong with their body, and they'll just say, oh, it's just because of my age now, or that's happening, or it's just because I'm getting older. Which doesn't have to be the case. You know, we've got a really well-designed human body, and if we give it the things that it needs, you know, so good diet, sunshine, fresh air, adequate rest, you know, appropriate level of exercise, it doesn't get all these things, you know, because we're giving it what it needs and we're not putting a load of toxins in. So yeah, my health has improved and continues to be good. And I think after I did some extended mono diets, I found that I was assimilating the fruits a lot better. I felt like my intestines had been cleaned out of it, so that it went up a level after a few years, but it's pretty constant now because I'm doing the same thing. Yeah.
And you had the experience of raising some children on a raw vegan diet as well, on a fruit-based raw vegan diet.
Yeah.
How has that been?
Brilliant, brilliant. I mean, I think the bottom line is that every parent wants healthy and happy children, and every parent does the best with the knowledge they have at that time. And for me, a fruit diet is the perfect way to bring up children, because you have children that aren't sick, that aren't hyperactive, that have got good energy levels. And fruit's available anywhere. You can travel with a child. It's easy because there's always fruit. You'll always find fruit. You know, if you're a cooked vegan, or if you're gluten-free, if you've got a different kind of diet, that can be challenging when travelling. But fruit, you know, I think especially if you're attracted to fruit, you find fruit. I've just found on all levels it's a great way to bring up kids. It's simple, it's easy. You don't need to have to think about cooking. You have kids that aren't hyperactive but yet have good energy levels. And also, if you want to do, you know, kind of the continuum concept, so be with your child all the time, be close to them, always carrying them about, always being with them. It makes it so much easier, because you imagine doing that if you've got a child that's hyperactive or can't sit still, or, you know, has got a lot of health challenges. So I think the continuum concept is excellent. I think that works really well in tandem with a natural diet. The two just go together. They're both really needed.
And I have two more questions along the child line of how have you dealt, or how has it been socially with your children? And have they had any problems with their friends eating other diets?
Socially, I haven't had any issues. I think one thing socially is that you need to have faith in the diet you're doing. I think people pick up, if you're not sure what you're doing, if you're thinking, I'm not sure if this is good for my child, I don't know, people will pick up on that energy, and that will be reflected back at you. So you need to have faith, and you can get faith by researching the diet, looking at nutrition, talking to other parents that are doing similar things, getting as much knowledge as you can, and also observing your child and your child's needs, which will probably change from day to day slightly. So by having faith, I don't mean blind faith, and that you think, yeah, this is the diet for my child, this is going to work, and that's it. We need to sort of have open eyes every day to look, you know, do I need to tweak this? Do I need to add more fat? Does my child need more of this and that? You know, how they're developing and everything. But I think also socially, every kid loves fruit. So if kids come to your house, there's no issue. They always sit down. If my children were eating fruit, other children would always want to eat the fruit with them. So it's simple, and the other parents are happy, because when they come to pick up their kids, they're not hyper because they've been given loads of chocolate or chemicals. They've been given fruit, and it's like, oh great, that's, you know, really good. And other parents seem to appreciate that. And when we've had parties, we have fruitarian parties, which are great fun. So we've had a load of different types of fruit, and we do a few mixes and all sorts of interesting stuff. And the parents love it, because again, when they come to collect their kids, normal kids' parties can get pretty interesting because of all the chemicals and the sugar and the E numbers that the kids have in a very short space of time. But when they have their fruit, they're all mellow, there's no tantrums, there's no tears, all the kids are happy, and the parents collect their kids and they've been fed all this beautiful food. So socially, I haven't had any issues, but I think we need to have faith, which is gained by knowledge, and also, you know, by connecting with other people, and just the fact that all kids love fruit. That's a huge thing in our favour, you know, it's brilliant.
Cool. And do you have anything that you would talk to parents, anything you would want to share with parents who are raising their kids on a fruit-based diet, any stumbling blocks to be aware of or things of that nature?
I think one really, really vital thing is that children need milk, and they need breast milk. And I think, this is my personal view, that they need it for about 4 years, maybe a little less, maybe a little more, depending on the child. My younger son self-weaned when exactly just about on the dot when he was 4. Now, the cases I've known of raw vegan children that haven't thrived, they've either not had adequate breast milk, the mother's not been able to produce enough breast milk, or they have been weaned early. And I think this is vital. You know, babies are milkarians, they're not fruitarians. Milk is their food. So I think if you are thinking of raising a raw vegan child, just be aware that they need milk, and that society is not often supportive of long-term breastfeeding. It's looked on as very strange, and if you see a 3-year-old being breastfed, because we're not used to it, it does seem strange. But if you see a 3-year-old drinking a glass of cow's milk, nobody would think anything strange, when really, rationally, it's far more natural for a child to be drinking its mother's milk freely given than a glass of cow's milk taken from a cow, when the calf should be having the milk. But society isn't always rational. So I really think that's very important, that you consider that you will need to give your child milk for the first 4 years. And if you're raw vegan, where's that milk going to come from? If it's not breast milk, you're not going to want to give them animal products, you're not going to want to give them soy products. So I think that's a really important consideration. And I also think good quality produce, organic, wild, foraged, homegrown, is really important, because children have, huge needs in terms of macro and micronutrients, and they need to get really good quality produce and properly ripe. So I think the milk, something to think about. Are you prepared to long-term breastfeed? If you don't, what are the options for a raw vegan child? Take that into consideration. Also take into consideration sourcing the best quality fruit that you can, and make sure it's properly ripe and seasonal, local if possible.
Cool. Thank you, Anne. And we're here at the Woodstock Fruit Festival. How's it been going this year?
It's fantastic. Last year was wonderful, this year's wonderful. We've got great fruit, great people, great weather, beautiful setting, really good energy. It's kind of all these people coming together, and the energy is just magnified. It's just fantastic. I wouldn't miss it for the world. Brilliant. So next year again, it's going to be fantastic.
How is it for bringing your child Cappy here?
Amazing. I've not seen him all. He's just been doing things, finding his old friends from last year, making new friends for this year, talking to people, going into the water, playing games. He's just had a ball. Yeah.
Thank you, Anne.
Thank you. Thanks very much.